It's October 1st, and you know what that means. It's time for M.L. Miller's Best of the Best in Horror Countdown 2020. Let's get spooky. Welcome to the official Best of Horror 2019-2020 countdown on M.L. Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm M.L. Miller. While you might be watching this video on the Kings of Horror Network, I urge you to click over to my M.L. Miller Frights page and give it a like, share with your buddies across the web, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. Every day in this glorious month of October, I'll be counting down the best of horror, culminating with the best horror films since last Halloween. With theaters closed for the bulk of this shitty year, much of the countdown comes from alternative sources, like streaming services, digital download, and on-demand. Plus, we saw the return of the drive-in movie theater, which is pretty damn awesome. This list compiles the best horror films released beginning on October 1st, 2019, and ending on September 30th, 2020. There's no elitism here. This list is comprised of films only released to the public, which rules out haughty festival picks that only esteemed reviewers get to see. If it played on a public screen this year, it's fair game to be on the list. Each installment of this 31-day countdown to the best of the best in horror will contain a main review plus an extra review that either barely missed the list or stood out this year for one reason or another. So you get 2 reviews for the price of 1 video. How awesome is that? Here we go. Number 31 is Replace. It was released on October 1st, 2019, so it barely gets on this list. It's available on demand, digital download, on DVD and Blu-ray, and it's also streaming on Shudder. It's directed by Norbert Keil, and it's written by Norbert Keil, Scarlett, and the one and only Richard Stanley. Replace is a different kind of vampire movie. While the film's monster doesn't have fangs or drink blood per se, the themes of the quest for eternal youth is ever present throughout. The film deals with the lengths people will go to stay young and beautiful. Kira, played by Rebecca Forsyth, is a promising young pianist living on her own in the big city. One morning, after hooking up with a random guy, Kira wakes up with little knowledge of who she is and notices a small rash forming on her finger. With the help of a friendly neighbor named Sophia, played by Lucy Aaron, she's prompted to go see a specialist for her issues. As the rash begins to spread and the help she receives from her doctor seems to prove fruitless, Kira gives into primal urges that only seem to be quelled by replacing her decomposing flesh with the flesh of others. Kira's doctor is played by the always amazing Barbara Crampton. Kira and Sophia begin a relationship, and Kira feels at home in her skin for the first time, but her cravings for the flesh and others threaten to destroy it. Replace has a whole lot going for it. First and foremost, director and co-writer Norbert Keil has a fine eye for making every scene feel vibrant and electrifying, utilizing unique camera angles and also chiaroscuro to show depth by utilizing vertical and horizontal black and white lines. This is a rather conventional tale of vampirism, but it looks amazing in every scene because of these camera techniques. Still, the switch from blood to flesh make this story all the more gruesome and tactile. Keil, along with his co-writers Richard Stanley and his partner Scarlett, fill the story with all kinds of twists and turns, as we're fully in the head of Kira all the way through. She, along with the viewer, has really no idea what's happening, and the answers, which are patiently released, compound into a thrilling and gruesome tale. While this is pretty grueling subject matter, Replace is able to tell quite a beautiful and tragic tale of finding and losing yourself. This is made possible through the time the film gives to developing Kira and Sophia's love story, as well as the plight of Kira's condition. It also helped that both Forsyth and Aaron are damn fine actors, as well as very easy on the eyeballs. The two have a great chemistry in the midst of this gory and gruesome story. Replace never shies away from the horror, but utilizes it to punctuate this tragic love story. It's a slow burner, but the film culminates with thunder. The true choice Kira is forced to make is if her relationship is more important than her own beauty. The answer is a true shocker, and only makes this film all the more gut-wrenching. This is a fantastically layered body horror film that will entertain those that like a little more headiness to their horror. Just missing the countdown this year is another vampire film with heavier themes. The Shed was released on November 15th, 2019, and it's available on demand and on digital download, as well as streaming on Shudder. The Shed was directed and written by Frank Sabatella. After losing his parents, Stan, played by Jay Warren, lives with his grandfather, who abuses him daily. But Stan seems to be a magnet for this type of treatment, as he is also the subject of torment from a trio of bullies at school. Dahmer, played by Cody Costro, is Stan's only friend and might be the only person who gets bullied and abused more than he does. When a vampire, played by Frank Whaley, holes up in the shed in Stan's backyard, Stan traps it, but doesn't know what to do with it. But Dahmer knows. He wants to get some payback on the tormentors who abused the two of them through the years. The Shed is filled with inspired performances. The aggressive but friendly back-and-forthings between Jay Warren's Stan and Cody Costro's Dahmer were inspiringly realistic, with their biting banter reflective of how the two were brought up with all kinds of abuse. It seems their inability to interact with others without exuding some kind of aggression in return is something they can't help but do. Sophia Happonen is also very strong here as Roxy. She's gorgeous, she's talented, she's got charisma, and she plays Stan's crush. But honestly, her decision to befriend Stan again after drifting apart seemed rushed in this story. I also liked Chris Petrovsky's Marble, the lead bully who turns into a puddle when threatened. Rounding out the cast is Frank Whaley, and he's gnarly as the vampire, though he's often covered in thick makeup, so it feels like that's kind of a waste of Whaley's highly expressive face. While the story of The Shed is fine and dandy, everyone loves to see the bullied fight back. Director and writer Frank Sabatella makes things redundant at times throughout the story, as he uses 4 or 5 dream sequences too many. If this were a Freddy Krueger movie, and the threat were more cerebral, I would understand so many trips to the dream realm. But the threat in The Shed is the real world that Stan lives in. I feel the threats in that world could have been utilized a little bit more efficiently with less time and energy spent building up false jump scares in multiple dream sequences. Still, seeing Stan and Dahmer get the upper hand on those who wronged them is fun and cathartic. It's also well developed how that power can quickly go to one's head. The Shed is about the dangers of bullying, and it also has vampires. It's funny at times, but doesn't forget to tug at the heartstrings when necessary. Some time is wasted here and there for unnecessary jump scares, but all in all, The Shed is going to please those looking for light, fangy fare. That'll be it for today. Check back in tomorrow for my next pick in the countdown. I'll be counting down every day in October. And please chime in down in the comments section and let me know what you think of these films. How on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am? Or you can counter with your own list. If you like this video, please pound that thumbs up button. Share this video with your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. I'm also counting down with written reviews over there. And don't forget that I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look for. GRAVETRANCERS is out now, and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, will be out in late November, early December, with Diamond Order Code APR 201712. And be sure to subscribe to this channel, and ring that bell for alerts to be the first to see my future videos. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're